And we hope that you enjoy our presentations as well as learn as much as we have throughout the unit. Okay, how are we doing with the chairs? No? No, sorry guys. If there aren't any chairs, you can sit on the tables over here. There are some tables over in the back. I'm really sorry, there are a few more chairs coming in. That's fine. Thanks, guys. Worth a try. Over here. So, without further ado, let's begin. It's going to be a long presentation, so let's start with the $1 Million General Show. This is going to be about two generals being interviewed by our wonderful hosts, Noah Nakshu and Javi Hofelinya.
I'm Javi, and this is the $1 Million General Show. Yay! 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 Robert E. Lee. Have a seat. I'll ask you some questions, okay?
Okay.
What was your strategy for the war?
Well, I tried attacking the Union head-on, but when that failed, I just tried to hold on as long as I could. Because if I did this, we would have won the battle.
What were your most important battles?
I fought in Antietam Creek, the Battle of Wilderness, Gettysburg, Harper's Ferry, and the 7-Day Battle. They were very important to my general career.
How did you become a general?
I had become a hero in the Mexican War and remained in the service as a career officer. Also, when Joseph Johnson, the Confederate commander, was wounded, I replaced him as an advisor to President Hayes, and that's when I was named a general.
What was your worst mistake?
It was probably during the Battle of Gettysburg. I used a straight down the center frontal attack, which is basically a head-on attack. But that strategy was out of date and we lost the battle.
What was your first battle, and did you win?
I think it was the Battle of Antietam Creek. I did not really win. You see, young man, I did not win because my paper boy lost the plan I wanted to tell all of my soldiers. Then two Union soldiers picked it up and they knew my plan, so I really had no way of winning.
Where did you come up with your strategy?
One of the strategies I used was to close in on enemies and move into attack. This was also done with many other battles and other people, so I thought it would be smart. Grant was thinking the same way, so he was ready for that, and we unfortunately lost the battle.
What was your biggest accomplishment?
It would have to be the Battle of Chancellorsville, because I did something no one expected. What I did was to divide my army into my troops into three groups. One to come around the back to attack them, and the other to sneak up on them. And the other group was just to watch guard.
How and when did you die?
I died on October 12, 1870, on the college grounds that I was president of from old age.
Okay, that will be all, Lee. We'll be right back. After The $1 Million General Show is founded in part by Patrick's Ironclads, Noah's Bayonets, and Jared's Muskets, and John Lucas Carriage Wheels. Are you tired of those squeaky carriage wheels, people? Well, it's your lucky day. We're having a sale. Come to our store on Main Street.
And we're back with the $1 Million General Show. We have another special guest who was also in the Civil War, and that is General Grant. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Is that okay?
Okay.
What was your strategy and why did you use that strategy?
I cut off their food supplies and I fought all the battles in their country so that their land would get destroyed and so that they wouldn't have food.
Where did you come up with your strategy?
Before the war, I served under Zachary Taylor and Winfield Scott, and they taught me everything I know about being a general.
So we know your strategies and why you use them, but how did you become a general?
I went to West Point Academy and was commissioned brevet second lieutenant. When Lincoln saw how well I fought, he made me a general.
What was the biggest mistake you made as a general?
At the start of the war, when I first became a general, I couldn't control my army, and they might have woken up those Confederate troops if I didn't get them back in time.
What was the first battle you fought, and did you win?
Yeah, that was when I couldn't control the camp. It was on a Confederate camp in Kentucky.
What was your biggest accomplishment for the war?
I think it was winning the war.
How and when did you die?
I died of throat cancer in 1885.
What were the most important battles you fought?
Maybe Gettysburg, Vicksburg, and Petersburg, because they were close to Richmond, and Five Forks, because that helped me out with Vicksburg.
Thank you for your time. The $1 Million General Show. Your host,
All right, so second presentation is called It's So Different. And this is about two old friends meeting up, and they're from two very different parts of the country. So let's welcome our presenters, Emmy Malouf and Francis Shapiro.
Hello, Daniel. It's been quite a while, has it not? Andrew! I can't believe it's 1863 already. Yes, of course. How's the North been treating you? The North? What do you mean? I've never been to the North in my life. But didn't you say you lived in New York? No. I said Robert, my brother, was living in New York, not me. Right, of course. So where do you live then? In the South, you dimwit. Oh, right. Yes, of course. So where in the South do you live? I live in South Carolina, right by you. You live in Georgia, right? No! Why would I be such a fool and live in the South? Are you saying I'm a fool? As a matter of fact, I am. Well, I bet you 3 chickens, you can last a day in the South. I top that bet. I bet you 2 cows that you can last a day in the North. Consider it done. This must be Andrew's house. Well, it's not a house compared to mine. I wonder where everyone is. Hello? Andrew? Caroline? Oh, right. Andrew's at my house. Hello, Hannah? Matthew? Oh, no. I hope Andrew told Caroline about our bet. If he didn't, then I wouldn't be able to stay here, and that would ruin everything. Well, here goes nothing. Yes? Hello, I'm Daniel. Andrew's friend? Is your mother home? Mother? There's an odd man at the door, and it's not Uncle Jim. I'll go get him. That must have been Hannah, Andrew's daughter. He has a son, Matthew. I suppose he has no slaves like most people in the North. I wonder how he gets by. Well, I don't know if this was such a good bet. I could win and gain 2 cows, but if I lose, I could lose 3 chickens. That would never happen. She thought it was foolish. Though, Andrew said to Twit, he'll never win. I'm so much more. Oh.
Hello, Daniel. How are you doing?
Pretty well. How are you doing?
Fine.
Has Andrew told you about our bet yet, Caroline?
Yes, indeed he did. It's mighty foolish, but men do have their ways, no? And anyway, if my Andrew wins, which he will, we will gain 3 chickens.
Well, did you know that Andrew bet 2 cows?
What? 2 cows? He didn't.
He did.
That was not a good idea.
Well, I suppose Andrew, what do you call it? Oh, yes, an ignorant fool, perhaps?
Excuse me?
Well, pardon me for speaking the truth.
No, perhaps I should be going. Here, have these biscuits. And some tea.
These are okay. But Nellie or May usually cook my baked goods. I wonder if Andrew ever thought of having any slaves. I suppose I should go outside. The North is so different from the South. So many factories and lakes and rivers, and all the houses are so close to everything. Maybe Andrew was right. Maybe I can't last here. Maybe I should go home. But then Andrew would win 3 chickens, and I would lose the chance to get 2 cows. But Andrew could never make it in the South. So maybe I should go home. I think I will.
I suppose this is Daniel's house. Not really much of a house, more like a plantation. It is. There are a lot of cabins over there. That's probably where his slaves sleep. This ground is so dry. Maybe that's why they have all that cotton. Look at all those slaves. There must be at least 15 of them. That's a lot. No one in the North has any slaves. I wonder why Andrew decided to live in the South. The North is so much better. Can't see another plantation for miles.
Hey, you're not Mars Peters. Who are you anyway?
My name is Andrew James. I'm from the North. Who might you be?
I'm May, Mars Peters. Well, it's nice meeting you, but I really must be going. Mars will whip me if I don't come home soon.
Oh, really? That's so cool. I don't suppose I even want to go inside.
Not blaming you. Really hard. I really have to be going. I have to sit the kids.
Okay, bye. I hope her life gets mighty better. It's so cool how the people treat their slaves. They're doing all the work. I have to go home. But, oh, I was such a fool. I bet 2 cows. I thought for sure I would win. And anyway, I can't lose 2 cows. That's how we get all our money. Without 2 cows, I would be poor. And if I gain 3 chickens, I'll be so much more wealthy. That's the better idea. I should stay here. But, oh no, I have to go home. If only I had bet something less than 2 cows, then it was such a hard decision for me to make. But I did bet 2 cows. So I should go home. Yes. I think I'll go home. So, Daniel, I suppose you couldn't last a day in the north.
Well, it looks like you couldn't last a day in the south.
Wait, so who wins the bet?
When I went to your house, but Steven gave me some
It was so different! My house is that way.
Is slave versus
What was the traditional color of a Southern soldier's uniform? Deb, correct. What were the pants called back then? David.
Trousers.
Correct.
What not to wear 800?
What was the design of a Civil War artillery officer's cap?
Anyway.
Ring free. Correct.
The question,
And the category is African Americans in Civil War.
Jeopardy was sponsored by Staples.
Final Jeopardy. Here's your question under the category of African Americans in Civil War. How many African Americans got medals at the end of the war? The answers. Devin, what was your answer? And you wagered? That is correct. And your final score is? Very good. Okay. David, you wagered?
1 cent.
And you answered?
16.
That is correct. Your new score is 2,201 cents. You went.
16!
And what did you wager?
4,600!
You're our new winner!
Is that important?
Please, please, it looks interesting.
Everything was interesting to do.
If you don't, I'll tell Mom.
But Mom's not home.
And I'll tell Grandma.
Oh, fine, just this one.
Hours pass. They don't realize how long they've been reading until Grandma calls them down for lunch. Guys, come up for lunch.
Come in, Grandma. Oh my gosh, Sarah, look at the time. We've been reading for 3 hours. Come on, let's go.
Where have you guys been? Never mind that. Just eat your lunch, little kitties. Where are you two going?
Nowhere?
Come here. I think Billy Judy was contracting. Most of us worked in the fields. Unlike me, the house slaves had an easier life and were treated more like children. I was a field slave. I had to work for about 18 hours a day. When your mother was 4, she also had to work. She didn't do a lot of work then, though. Well, enough about the work I did. What about what I wore, where and how I slept, and what I ate? Start off with what us slaves wore. We didn't dress as nicely as you do today. We only got 1 to 2 pairs of clothing a year. My shoes always broke and I would have to wrap my feet in rags.
Harriet, out of those 100,000 slaves that Maggie just mentioned, how many did you rescue?
Again, there's no exact amount, but over 300.
Over 300? This is for you, Harriet, and John and Jacob. What inspired you to become conductors? You first, John.
Me seeing the sight of innocent slaves made me want to help them.
That's touching, isn't it?
Well, it's a kind of a different story. I was at this abolitionist meeting, and a stranger ran in and said he needed help rescuing John Bowley's wife and children, and John Bowley is my brother-in-law, or was. And so I decided to help, and that was my first rescue, and it kind of just started my career.
And John Bowley's a different person than John Jacob, right?
I hope so.
Maggie, how did you find out there was a secret organization that would help free you?
Well,
two other slaves in my cabin talking about it when I was asleep. But most slaves would find out by this man called Peg-Leg Joe coming and pretending to be a slave at different plantations and at night teaching directions to slaves.
How do you remember the route?
Well, there were these code songs that would that had hidden directions in the verses.
How do these songs help you along the way?
Well, as I said, there were hidden directions in them. Also, for example, in one song called "The Jerking Gourd," there in the first verse, it's written when the sun goes back and the first quail calls, follow the drinking gourd. The drinking gourd is the constellation of the Big Dipper, and it means to leave at night and follow the Big Dipper.
It's like the North Star.
The North Star's in it.
Well, some slaves were taken away from their family, but others stayed together. If you were with your family, did you escape with them?
I wasn't with my family at the plantation, but most of the slaves that did have their families would either go with their families, but sometimes the seniors of the family would probably drop out because they thought they were too tired and they'd rather stay at the plantation.
And now we have a question for some new person. Harriet, you made 19 trips to plantations. Were you ever caught?
No, and some people say it was because I had a guardian angel.
Sure, we all do.
Last but not least, we have lifestyles of the North and South. George, Julia, Lindsay, and Spencer.
Okay, class. Tonight's assignment, you are to write an essay on the lifestyles of the people living in the North and the South during the Civil War.
Man, this is whack. I better go to the museum today. I wonder how this is going to help me with my essay. Let me read my brochure. In the North, if you were rich, you would probably have your own room and would probably have a lot of leisure time. The war wouldn't affect you since most of the war was fought in the South, and you probably wouldn't have family members in the army. If you were poor or middle class, the war would affect you if a member of your family was in the army. If you were buying food, the prices would have gone up since food was hard to get and most of it was grown in the South. In the South, if you were living on a plantation, you would live in a mansion known as the Big House. There are separate houses for cooking, spinning yarn, weaving, slave quarters, candle/making, stables and bars, and much more. If you were living on a plantation, you would have your own room, but not so much leisure time, since your slave might have ran away. If you didn't live on a plantation, the war would have affected you since most of it was fought in the South. You would probably see cannons blasting from your backyard. Life would be much more difficult and different than it was before the war. Everyday items were hard to find and because the Union was blockading the South. Food was also hard to find, so many people starved and died. Wow, this is interesting. Hello, sir. Huh?
Good day, sir.
What? This is whack. What's going on?
How are you today, sir?
What? Who are you?
I'm Julia.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Spencer. And we're from the time of the Civil War. Cool.
We hear you have to write an essay on the home life in the North and South.
Yeah, I do. It stinks. Well, we're here to help you with that. Really? That's cool. Let's get started. We're going to teach you about entertainment,
School of money. And house work fast in the North and South.
now for entertainment. In the North, if you lived in a city, you would normally go to a circus. And on a special occasion, you could go to a musical show called a minstrel show. Vaudeville shows with the comedy and singing in a play were very popular. Sanitary Commission had fairs to raise money for soldiers. If you went to a museum, you could see exhibits with military items in it. Parades and baseball were also a big hit in the North. Farm fairs were very fun to see. Songs such as Battle Hymn of Republic and Battle Cry of Freedom were sung all over the North. And in the South, well, there wasn't much time to play in the South because you would have to watch out for the Union most of the time. But if you had time for games, there would probably be High Spy, Blind Man's Bluff, or Fox and Geese. For boys, playing war was a favorite game. Checkered by the Fire was the one happy way to end the night. Songs like When Johnny Comes Marching Home and Bonnie Blue Flag were sung in the South.
Wow, that's a lot of information. Yeah. Now I'm going to teach you about house facts from the North and South.
Okay.
In the North, men did all the outside work. Women did all the inside work like cooking, cleaning, baking, sewing, and doing laundry. Kids also had jobs. They chopped wood, cleaned barns, fed animals, gathered eggs, and milked cows. Some families lived in two-story farmhouses. Daily chores included milking cows, cleaning, and baking. But in the summer, it would be different. In the summer, you would plant, harvest crops, and harvest crops. Usually farmers in the same town helped each other build and harvest. In the South, in the barns, they grew tobacco, rice, crops, and grain. But things were different. They had slaves. People didn't do much because of that. Most children had tutors to teach them. But during the war, some tutors went off to war, so South kids didn't do much work.
Wow, I'm writing all of this down.
Good. Now, I'm going to teach you about school and money.
Okay.
In the North, they go to public schools. They stay there from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. They read McGuffey readers, do sums, write on slates, and memorize pieces to say out loud. Also, kids had to swear they believed in the Union. The teachers could only teach things that supported the Union. The war sometimes affected the schools when teachers were drafted. When that happened, either women took over as teachers or the school was closed. In Illinois, students had to take a Union loyalty oath before class. Kids would sometimes skip school because they went to visit their fathers in the army. In the South, they go to private schools. If you had more money, you had a tutor or a governess, and then you went to a private high school. Some kids were taught at home by family members. The North had many more schools than the South. In the North and the South, debts were paid with silver or gold coins, and citizens had to cast their individual bills at the place they were printed, or they might not get full value for that bill. Also, banks and businesses printed their own design of paper.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to get an A+.
Okay, boys and girls, I have the grades from your essays. Juliet, I'm sorry, F. David, I'm so sorry, F. George, A+. Okay, that's our show. I just want to thank you all for coming, and a big round of applause once again for the fifth graders. Information today. I know it was packed in there, but thank you once again for coming.
How did they come up with what they were going to do?
Well, together as a class, we came up with all the topics together, just some things that you were interested about, some things you wanted to learn more about. From there, each of the kids picked their top 3. From there, I put them into groups. And they took it from there. They decided if they wanted to do a model, if they wanted to do a skit. We talked as a class, all the different ways you could present information. And it was all of them. It really was.
It was all
Yes.
It was,